We are back. Gerald Celente from Trends Research. Buongiorno.
Buongiorno. How are you?
Oh, a lot better than the world's markets are right now.
Boy, today is one to watch. First of all, over in Asia, the Nikkei index has been down over 2% each day since the new election happened on Sunday. So Abe got reelected, of course, and the markets are down 4%, over 4% in 2 days. And then during the morning sessions and going into the afternoon, the European markets were down, between 1.5% to 2.5%, and they closed up. And then the Dow was down. It was up over 100, up and down, and then it closed down 112 points. So the volatility levels here are they're quite extreme. You're seeing in Greece last week, last Tuesday, the market was down over 12%. Then you're seeing in Russia the same thing happening. Their markets are collapsing, as the ruble is. So there's a lot going on, and then of course the war drums keep beating louder and louder in the background. So this isn't a Christmas season of peace on earth.
It's anything but. The interesting thing is, and you wrote about this. I'd heard, Gerald, I couldn't believe my ears. Now, generally, Fox News, by the uninitiated and the unwashed out there, is kind of looked at as being the conservative place to go. Well, compared to MSNBC, I guess that would be the case, but that's the neocon network. But a couple of weeks ago, Gerald, I'm listening, and there's some babe, some talking head on there that says, well, look, some people might not have a lot of money for Christmas, but if you wait till the day before Christmas to go do your Christmas shopping, and she made some sort of sick joke that, well, you might be up all night wrapping presents, but you'll be able to get 70% off on stuff. And I was just flabbergasted that she had, she just had the cojones to say that. Now, you wrote a piece here on discounts and what do they mean? And slow spending is driving deep discounts. What's your take on this?
We launched first of all, we had a conference here a week ago Saturday, and we had about 70 people came. And you could get it online, by the way. You could buy it $50 for 5.5 hours of top trends for 2015. It's recorded, and a really high-quality job. And one of the trends that we launched was price wars. And, of course, we sent out the top trends for 2015 over a week ago. And that was one of our top trends. What's going on with the oil markets? People want to make a conspiracy about this. And, at first I thought, boy, they're punishing the Russians. And no, it's bigger than that. It's demand. And we've been on top of this since middle of June, when oil prices peaked at $115 a barrel, and then they started sharply declining. And, every evening as part of the subscription, weekdays we do Trends in the News, and we cover gold, oil, and the markets. And I'm saying this isn't right. We're going into the peak driving season, and oil prices are declining sharply. So, yes, there's a lot of supply out there, but demand is off. And it's not only off on oil, it's off on copper. It's off on corn. You could buy a ton of rebar, reinforcement rod, over in China cheaper than you could buy a ton of cabbage. There's so much extra product out there, and demand is falling off the cliff. Demand is down worldwide. There's between recessions and depressions and slowdowns. So when you keep putting it all together, there's way too much product out there, whether it's in the commodity line or finished product. So that woman was saying she's 100% right. price wars. That's one of our top trends for 2015. And we called this a while ago. You can see it adding up. Look at housing. You know, the numbers came out today on new housing for single family. It was up for multifamily because people can't afford to buy houses. And we're talking about they have not raised interest rates since 2006. And they can't prop up the failing markets. China, listen to this number. Over 70 million, that's right, 70 million luxury apartments are vacant. You have entire cities that are empty, that they built. It's the same kind of Ponzi scheme, different name with a Chinese accent on it. And the same thing going on in Europe. I mentioned, look, the Bundesbank came out. Oh, they downgraded their growth for Germany in the second quarter. One after another downgrade. I mentioned Greek markets going down over 12%. You look what's going on in Venezuela, Brazil. Add up what's going on around the world. Thailand. Name the country. It's either in depression, recession, or going over the edge. And at the same time, they're all lowering interest rates where they're in trouble in one way, or in Russia,
right.
They just increased the interest rate from 10.5% to 17% in one day to protect the ruble.
Oh, but the news stories today were, oh, geez, look, the ruble is collapsing in Russia against the dollar. That was the storyline they were putting out, and I know exactly why Vladimir Putin and the boys over there did that. It's the same damn thing that we did back in 1979, 1980 in this country. We jacked the interest rates up to 21% because inflation was going crazy.
And it's a war against Russia. Sanctions are an act of war. Why doesn't anybody call it what it is? They're all afraid. We declared war against Russia. And the sanctions are hurting them. And Dr. Paul Craig Roberts, who you well know, former Assistant Treasury Secretary under Reagan, I just got off the phone with him not more than a half hour ago. He's writing the piece now at TrendsJournal on the grand manipulation, how the markets are so manipulated. And we were talking about this. This is an act of war. And he's wondering who's behind taking down the ruble. Is it George Soros? He did it. Look what he did to the pound. And or he said, is it the government? And I said, Dr. Roberts, I said, Soros is the government. It's a takeover. Because that's one of our other trends, bankism. It's a total takeover. Nomi Prinz, by the way, wrote that one. And she, of course, is the woman that wrote that great book, All the President's Bankers. So Dr. Paul Craig Roberts is asking, is this thing being manipulated? Because everything else is manipulated. We know the LIBOR rate, the interest rates are manipulated. That's not conspiracy. It's a fact. We know the Forex markets are rigged. That's the currency markets traded at $5.3 trillion a day. That's rigged, not a conspiracy theory, a fact. The only difference is that those criminals don't go to jail. Only we do. They punish the powerless, and the powerful get a free ride. So when you're putting all these things together, 2015 is shaping up to be a real game changer. I mean, this thing is, if this keeps going, what is it, 8 shopping days left at Christmas? And you have all this market volatility? This thing, we saw what happened with Black Friday. Retail sales were down 11% rather than going up 4.1%. Yeah, they made some of it up on the Internet, but not enough. If this thing keeps going, you're going to see the bottom fall out of retail.
Well, and Vladimir Putin's deal was that he had NATO parked all around his country, and he did not want this. But the difference now is that we're looking at the European Union, and that is falling apart rapidly. And deals have been done. Oil deals have been done from Russia. Pipelines are going in for gas. They're doing what they have to do over in Russia to survive. And it wasn't. This whole thing with Kiev and the government there, puppet of the United States. Vladimir Putin saw through this. He does not want to tangle with the United States. He does not want to create World War III. What he wants to do is try to patch the economy up from the world's bankster gangsters that they have wrought in every established and every economy on this planet, Gerald. He's trying to survive, and he's trying to take care of his own people in Russia, and the only thing we want to do is keep prompting war. Let's take this break. Gerald Celente is my guest. We've got him for another segment here. TrendsResearch.com is the website, and his endeavors particularly is TrendsJournal. We'll be right back.
Must come down.
Earthquakes, hurricanes, nuclear accidents, terror attacks, and all-out social collapse. With the world today more volatile than ever, the future has never looked more uncertain. Survivalist magazine is the one resource you can't afford to be without. Claim your free trial subscription now at www.survivalist.com, and your first issue ships immediately. Get all the details and more at www.survivalist.com or order by phone. Call 1-866-437-6570. Your survival may depend on it.
Americans are reeling from Obamacare, higher prices, and an epidemic of policy lapses. AsiaRunLikeHellGuide.com has you covered. World-class medical and surgery at one of Asia's most modern hospitals. 300 doctors, surgeons, and dentists serving 300,000 patients a year. Fractions of U.S. prices. Friends or family forced to go out of pocket? Avoid bankruptcy. Tell them to run. Run like hell. Hit us up now. We'll show you how. AsiaRunLikeHellGuide.com.
The IRS is a private corporation, not a government agency. Income tax is collected by voluntary compliance. To learn to unvolunteer or discontinue volunteering into the IRS, visit escapeharassment.com and immediately implement Strategy 1. The process must be repeated each and every time. Paper, letter, envelope, presentment, etc. Always and forever. Failure equates to acceptance, subsequent resultant contract, and you pay or go to jail by your own consent and agreement contract. Avoid recontracting. Visit escapeharassment.com and implement Strategy 1 immediately. Bar lawyers and accountants won't help you. Why wait? Get Strategy 1 and immediately implement it to divorce the IRS today and forever. That's escapeharassment.com, Strategy 1, to be free from the IRS. escapeharassment.com.
Herbal Healer Academy presents its spring specials. All sizes of our 500 parts per million colloidal silver are on sale, along with products to help you lose weight, like apple cider vinegar, Hoodia, Metabolic Complex, and Pro Metabolic. That's not all. Anti-Parasite Intestinal Freedom, Wormwood Plus Complex, Stevia Liquid Sweetener, and the Super Enzymes are on sale. Visit herbalhealer.com to order yours. Request our free 128-page catalog. Healing the world with nature, one person at a time. herbalhealer.com.
Now there's an amazing new natural antibiotic every person must have. It's Cells Alive Silver Solution, and it destroys over 650 hard-to-kill viruses, fungus, bacteria, and much more. Cells Alive Silver Solution has no expiration date, is great for emergency kits and storage shelters, and comes in 8 or 16-ounce bottles. Order today at 888-910-4367 or visit hempusa.org. Hempusa.org, 100% chemical-free superfoods and unique health products.
There are many water filters to choose from, but there is only one system that is consistently customer rated 5 stars as the #1 system for effective filtration of fluoride, radiation, drug residues, heavy metals, a wide range of radioisotopes, and more. Introducing the Pure Effect Ultra, the next generation water filter that also raises alkaline pH, improves antioxidant potential, and has advanced anti-radiation technology, all while using no electricity. Sold worldwide, it provides virtually instant clean water on demand. It is not made in China, and the shipping is free to all 50 states. Buy your Pure Effect Ultra today by visiting pureeffectfilters.com. or call 888-891-4821. Again, that's 888-891-4821. Or visit pureeffectfilters.com.
I would say pretty much the swan song for the dollar is now in full swing. I can hear it right now. And, of course, we had the Bretton Woods Agreement, everything tied to oil, everything had to be sold in a dollar. That's the big bad boy on the planet. That's the reserve dollar. Well, not anymore. And Gerald Celente, I'm now starting to see cracks in the dike here of the smaller energy companies out there that have been floating a lot of junk bonds. And I think we're going to start seeing a lot of the smaller players out there up and disappear rather rapidly.
Well, it is happening already. They just closed down a pipeline deal that was supposed to go from North Dakota to Oklahoma, and the talk again. It goes back to price wars. Normally, the Saudis and OPEC would be cutting back on production. Mm-hmm. But they know that if they cut back, the slack's going to be made up by the other players out there. So they're driving the price down because fracking, particularly coming out of Canada with the tar sands, it becomes uneconomical at these kind of levels.
That's right.
So today a story just came out. We're looking at $1 trillion worth of deals that aren't going to happen. And then you start looking at the junk bonds. An estimated 20% of the junk bonds in the U.S. are energy related. So who's going to pay for these things? So this is kind of like, this is a housing bubble crisis. It's along those kind of levels. Mm-hmm. Because when you look, for example, the deals that were made by, General Electric bragging, how much money they were spending in buying up companies relative to fracking, and it was in the areas of the $15 billion, $18 billion. So now all of these assets are declining very rapidly. And again, you're going to start seeing one after another go out of business. And there's another problem, again, because all these things are connected. Already, they're passing this fracking fluid throughout the country on rail systems that are third world. Anybody that's been in another country overseas know how dilapidated our systems are. So they're putting no money into them now. Do you think they're going to put any money into the systems as the prices go down? Absolutely not. They'll keep stretching it, and then you're going to start seeing more and more volatile accidents that are going to be very deadly for communities. So when you're looking at this, it's much bigger than just the price of fracking fluid. It's the price of what it's all going to cost us in so many ways. And another study came out today, very interesting, from a government agency, that if oil prices stay below $60 a barrel, do you know how much the grand total that we the people will save as families? Grand total of $550.
Yeah.
That's no dough.
Yeah.
That's not real money anymore.
That's right.
So it's not going to pick up in the retail end. And when you go back, John, I made my name in the business a couple of times that I really hit big. And one of them was in January of 1987. Wall Street Journal ran the story. I predicted the crash of 87, that it would happen before year's end. One of the indicators were falling oil prices. So people want to turn this into a conspiracy theory. It's a demand issue more than a supply issue. Yeah, there's a lot of supply, but guess what? There's a lot of suppliers, I'm saying, of everything. And that's why you're seeing copper, corn, and other commodities at 5-year lows. And there's overproduction from shirts to shoes to computers. And that's why you're seeing 70% off day before Christmas Day. So this is very big what's going on. And again, the volatility levels. I mentioned, I finished Trends in the News today. We broadcast it at 8:30 tonight. I finished it at 3:30. When I started at 3:15, the markets were up 40 points. I go back to my computer, they're down 112 points.
And, of course, the plunge protection team didn't have anything to do with that. And I've reminded people, Gerald, it used to be, before the plunge protection team had to take over Wall Street, that you would see the volatility even in the stock market. They'd have to put the curbs in.
That's right.
But now you don't see that anymore.
You got it.
And
John, you're right on.
Yeah,
you're right on.
And people don't understand. They can't grasp it. Yeah, it's complicated, the economic system and the stock market and all of these things. It's really complicated. Well, that's because they've wanted it that way. But what is blatantly clear here is that employment is not at 5.9%. There are over 100 million people, 1/3 of this country now, this country's population, that is taking from the government in one form or another, whether it be food stamps or some sort of governmental assistance, 1/3 of the country. And they keep talking about, and we're coming up on another election cycle, which ironically, we're already talking about who's going to be running for the White House in 2016. This continues, and I don't know about you, but let me put my tinfoil hat on. I don't think we're going to have an election in 2016 because we're going to be in an economic crash and a total collapse in this country. And what are they going to run on then? Jobs?
Look what happened. Look what happened at the midterm election.
Oh.
74% of the people stayed home. If this happened in Russia, it would have been major news. It barely made the news here. Who are you going to vote for? Which murderer or thief? And I don't say that lightly.
I don't either.
How many more people do the Democrats and Republicans have to kill around the world in the name of bringing freedom and democracy? And how much more of our money do they have to steal in the name of too big to fail and tax breaks for their buddies?
And look what the Republicans are doing. They ran on the platform of we're going to unplug Obamacare. Now they're talking about keeping it and reforming it.
Again, they're the Bloods and the Crips. They're murderers and thieves. They're liars. How can any self-respecting human being look up to a Pelosi or Reid, a McConnell or a Lindsey Graham, an Obama or a Bush? What self-respecting human being would think that these people are more intelligent than they are and know what they're doing? How many more failures do people have to add up before they'll call it what it is?
But yet the wars continue and the funding keeps going for the military and more conquests in the Middle East, while this country is literally, and ironically, matching numbers here. The nation's infrastructure, it is absolutely crumbling.
Well, that's what I was talking about.
Yeah. And Detroit, well, they just kind of came out of an agreed bankruptcy. Well, guess what? Cleveland is now going into one.
All right, here's the number. You talked about the budget, and you talked about war expenditures. This new $1 trillion-plus budget, out of that trillion-plus, $823 billion are going to war, the military-industrial, and cyber-industrial complex. $823 billion out of what, $1.2 trillion? That's the real number. We broke it down. It's there. It's a fact.
And to what end?
80% of every dollar is going toward the military and cyber-industrial complex.
And what exactly is this going to net us, Gerald? I mean, I could see the Republicans wanting to wage a war if they sniffed out a profit. But
they're stupid. They're psychopaths and sociopaths. You're saying you're trying to make them seem like these are rational people with a brain between their ears. They're sociopaths and psychopaths. I mean, you listen to it. I mean, you listen to Dick Cheney, and then they keep putting him out there like this guy has a brain. If I had it to do all over again, I would do it. And the majority of the people are in favor of this torture.
He's literally.
And, by the way, here's a question I have. Where are all of the religions? Where's the Pope? Where are the priests? Where are the Protestants? Where are the Jews? Where are the Muslims? Where are all of the religions coming out and taking a stand on torture? I don't hear a peep from any of them.
No, you don't. Gerald, we're out of time. Now, this segment goes by way too quickly. TrendsResearch.com is the website. Visit it, folks. TrendsJournal. Gerald Celente, I appreciate your time. By the way, thanks Zeke for me. You got a heck of a guy over there.
Ah, great kid. Yep.
Yeah, he is. Hey, thanks, Gerald.
All right. Bye-bye.
Take care. Second hour of the National Intel Report coming up. And I'm going to dig down into the politics of global secret police forces, CIA, and the whole 9 yards. You're going to want to sit down and listen to this one, because I'm going to be revealing a lot of stuff that you have not heard. Well, we've got the Tin Man, the guy that was looking for his heart. Dick Cheney, I don't think he has one. We'll be back. Dick Cheney, I don't think he has one. We'll be back. Dick Cheney, I don't think he has one. We'll be back. Dick Cheney, I don't think he has one. We'll be back. Dick Cheney, I don't think he has one. We'll be back. Dick Cheney, I don't think he has one. We'll be back. Dick Cheney, I don't think he has one.